Well, it's great to have you back for another season of Here Come the Irish. Vic Lombardi and Ryan Harris coming at you every week as a product of the Giving Society members and the annual donors for making this show what it has become. It started off during the COVID era, and now we're still hanging on. Brian, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Vic. Excited for the first game of the year and in Ireland. Let's go.
I was going to say, dude, if there's anything that's like peanut butter and jelly, it's Notre Dame and Ireland. And I read somewhere that no football game, American football game played in Europe, has ever garnered this many American tourists to the game. I mean, usually you get a lot of people from Ireland, England, Germany, but most of the people going to this game are from the U.S.
Well, and I get it because Notre Dame is a national brand with a global presence. And this game just proves that. I mean, how cool. These kids get to say we're starting the season in Ireland. We're playing Ohio State and USC. And, oh, by the way, we're going to get to go down to Clemson and try and beat them too. I mean, spectacular season. And if you're a recruit, this is exactly the atmosphere you want. And for Marcus Freeman and the players, though, as fun as it is to go and play a game in Ireland, you must make sure to focus on the hand at task because you know the Navy Midshipmen, they know that travel's a part of their future. Yeah. And you can't let the fun of Ireland get in the way of the business you need to take care of in Ireland.
All right, before we break down Navy and what the midshipmen have to offer, let's discuss what happened last season in Marcus Freeman's first season as the Irish head coach. Of course, some shaky moments in there at the start of the season. Then he got it together. The team got it together, and they finished strong. They win the Gator Bowl, of course. What are your thoughts going into this year? How good is this Notre Dame team?
I think they're going to be fantastic and competing for a national championship, getting to that college football playoff. Look, Vic, you got Sam Hartman in there. He's thrown for zillion amount of yards, right? But also, more than that, he's had almost 1,000 passing attempts the last 2 seasons alone. And I bring that up because that quarterback position has a tremendous amount of experience tied to it when it comes to success. Sam Hartman's now entering his 6th year of college and has seen every defense. Maybe not the level that he's going to see it at Notre Dame, but he knows the mistakes that he's made against certain defenses, where the openings are. And, oh, by the way, he's going to have one of the best offensive lines in the entire nation. 2, possibly 3 first-round picks between John Alt and Blake Fisher on that offensive line. Plus, you got Audric Estime, Chris Tyree's moving to receiver. What's going on here? Because you got so much depth at running back.
Well, as you well know, the transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh. Notre Dame loses a couple players. They lost their offensive coordinator. Wasn't the portal, but they lost Tommy Rees. How different will the offense look to the Notre Dame eye? Will we see a much different scheme?
I think you'll see much different urgency. And that was one of the things that with Gerard Parker getting in there now, he has experience calling plays, and you don't always have to wait to figure out what was going on. Sometimes we saw it where the play was late from the booth to the field, and that caused some issues. But Gerard Parker, I really believe in him. He's also had a great opportunity to have some time both in the spring as well as the summer months to get to know his team, his personnel, and then bring in some of the recruits. So, and for a process moving forward, I mean, hopefully this is not the last coach that Marcus Freeman loses because he's won so many games, right? Al Golden might be on that list, but keeping that continuity helps with recruiting and helps put players in the right position because they have the coaches there still who helped recruit to get them there.
I just wish they could recreate a Michael Mayer and some of the losses because that kid was something else. What a performance, what a record-breaking season and career as a Notre Dame tight end, but that's college football. The beauty of Notre Dame is the reserves are pretty darn good, and some other guys are going to make names for themselves.
Absolutely. I'm looking for Eli Raridan to be one of those. Shout out to Scott Raridan, my former teammate at Notre Dame. That's his son. You also got Holden Stays, Davis Sherwood, Kevin Bauman and Mitchell Evans. So there's a lot of guys there. And not to forget, you still have your receivers, right? Deion Colsey, Chris Tyree's going to go over there. You also got Jaden Thomas, someone who I really like. So you got some young cats coming along as well. So there's a ton of opportunity here. And the best thing is you have an experienced offensive line returning that's been in some of those battles, that knows the difference between winning and losing, and is ready to help you run or pass the football.
The proper way to look ahead is to look in the past first. Let's take a quick review of last season. Notre Dame finishing 8-4 under Marcus Freeman. Yeah, the Gator Bowl is just the cherry on top of the sundaes. It seems like Notre Dame played everybody on the roster and still emerged victorious over South Carolina. All right, Ryan Harris. The team is in Ireland, and the team is ready to go on national television to kick off not only their season, but basically the entire college football season. A lot of eyeballs going to be watching Notre Dame. How nervous are freshmen who go in saying, I'm at Notre Dame and I'm playing in international waters here?
Well, they're tremendously nervous, even if they're not going to tell you. And part of it starts, when you go through customs. I mean, Vic, half these guys probably didn't even have passports until they signed to commit to Notre Dame. And then they're like, wait, we need a passport to play at Notre Dame? Oh, we're going to Ireland? And the good thing is coach has taken them out, gotten there a little early. They'll be able to acclimate themselves to the time zone because it's a very different deal, Vic, playing at what feels like a day and a half early. I mean, I got to play in London during my NFL stint, and we were all exhausted. Some people even sleeping in the locker room before the game to try and catch up on sleep. So absolutely the freshmen are nervous. The upperclassmen are more excited. And the job of the coaches is to keep this team focused on doing the little things necessary to beat a Navy team that historically gives Notre Dame tough fits.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about Navy, because Navy's one of those teams that I'm almost glad that this game is happening in the first game of the season, because you know what it's like when you have to game plan for one of those military teams in the middle of the season. That is not easy doing.
Well, and the first thing that you find out is they're not going to quit. I go back to last year's game against Navy. Navy was really losing that football game for all intents and purposes, and then started blitzing like crazy, bringing the entire house, and Notre Dame really had no answer. So number one, you got to be ready for the zero blitz. Hello. And number two, be ready for them to find what you haven't worked on. If I'm Gerard Parker and the rest of that offensive staff, I'm saying, what are the things we really didn't work on in training camp? Because the Navy defense, the Navy offense, they're going to figure things out in terms of going through the gambit and finding what holes we have in our system, and then they're going to attack it, so we need to be ready.
Yeah, we talk so much about the pride of Notre Dame, right? You got to be proud to play in Ireland, first of all. You're Notre Dame, you're the Fighting Irish. But you cannot underestimate the pride of a Navy midshipman. I mean, these guys, they bleed pride.
I was just golfing with one who's a CEO here in Denver of a space company, and at the end of the round, we found out he went to Navy, and I went to Notre Dame. I said, good luck. He leans in and goes, we won't need it. And I was like, my goodness. I mean, this is a guy removed from the situation, but that's the kind of confidence that the midshipmen have. And you know what? It's a tremendous honor as a football player to go against, players that choose to go to a service academy. It's really a unique game, Vic. You hear things like, hey, great tackler, can I help you up? Things you never hear in other games, because of that amazing commitment that those players have made to our country.
Yeah, you mentioned it last year, the game, as Notre Dame squeaks by, they win 35-32. So what are your expectations for this one? What do you think will happen in game one of this season?
I think you're going to get a heavy dose of Audric Estime. I also want to see some Jadarian Price. I believe that's, let me check the board there, Vic. I think I got it right. Yep, Jadarian Price. He had an Achilles injury last year, and really was impressing coaches before he had that injury. He's going to be a big piece. You also got Deion Colsey and Tobias Merriweather. Tobias Merriweather is a player I thought really showed later on in the season along with Jaden Thomas. But, hey, Vic, this is O-line you and tight end you. Use your bread and butter. Run the ball, find the tight end, throw it deep to your receivers, keep the game easy.
Yeah, I agree with you on the receiving core. They may have a lot of unproven receivers, but these are big receivers. These are some big targets. And Sam Hartman, I'm not sure if he had this much talent around him, obviously, at Wake Forest. He's going to see newfound talent. He's going to have fun, a field day. We'll see how quickly he gels with the Notre Dame offense. All right, how do you hype yourself up for Navy if you're a member of the Notre Dame football team? Well, let's show you Notre Dame style.
You go and play Navy the first game of the year in Ireland. I'm not saying Navy's going to beat them. I'm just saying it's tough to open up against that triple option.
Navy football announced that Brian Newberry will be the team's new head coach.
Notre Dame picked up the top overall quarterback in the transfer portal, Sam Hartman from Wake Forest, where he threw 110 touchdowns and threw for nearly 13,000 yards, which ranks top 20 all-time in NCAA history.
Navy trying to trick play and just beautifully played by Clarence Lewis.
Salerno is deep.
The punt is blocked. Notre Dame gets another one. Their 7th of the year. Brian Mason and the special teams unit will save the game for Notre Dame.
All right, let's take a look at the season as a whole, Ryan Harrison. And if you look at the schedule, right, everybody claims, oh, Notre Dame, they don't play anybody. Well, Ohio State's on the schedule. USC's on the schedule. Their team, Clemson's on the schedule again. The beauty of this schedule, though, as opposed to last year, you started with Ohio State. You had to go 0 to 100 in week 1. This year, at least you can ease into it a bit.
You can, and you start against Navy, so that's going to be an issue as we've talked about. I really commend Notre Dame on playing Tennessee State. Vic, I think that's amazing that we as a university are going to play a historically black college for the first time in our university's history. But I'll tell you what, though, North Carolina State's going to be a tough game. Pittsburgh's going to be a tough game. USC, you mentioned Ohio State and then going to Clemson. But you know what this does? This schedule, Vic, it doesn't make you just undefeated. It makes you undisputed if Notre Dame runs the table and goes without losing a game. It makes you the undisputed best team in the nation. So if I'm that coaching staff, if I'm Marcus Freeman, if I'm Al Golden, if I'm Gerard Parker, I'm telling these guys, look, you have a chance to do something no one else in the history of college football has done. You get the chance to be undisputed #1 team in the nation, and you do that by winning one game at a time.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Parker and the offense. What is Golden working with on that defense this year?
Well, he's working with some holes to start with, right? Al Golden lost Isaiah Foskey, who broke my teammate Justin Tuck's sack record for the career at Notre Dame. But look out for Jordan Botelho. You also got Jack Kaiser. You also got plenty of players all around, not to mention #1 corner in the nation, Benjamin Morrison. Can Notre Dame become C cornerback U too? A DBU? How about it, Vic? Let's go. So we got tons of talent on that defensive side still.
Talent always seems to find Notre Dame and vice versa. All right, Marcus Freeman's second season, his sophomore year as a coach. What do you think? What's the #1 thing he gleaned from his rookie season? What has he learned the most that he'll take here to this year?
Experience. I mean, he's experienced every situation, sudden change in becoming the head coach, losing a big game, losing a game you're not supposed to lose. Did that twice last year, losing a game because of bad play calling, losing a game because of bad plays by players, because of turnovers, losing staff unexpectedly, losing recruits, gaining recruits. I mean, there's nothing in 1 year that Marcus Freeman hasn't experienced. So everything this second year is also going to be the second time around. I don't think he's going to be surprised by much, and I believe the players still on the roster learned with him through last year as to the focus and dedication it needs to win week in and week out.
Yeah, I know it's 2023, but you ever wonder what college football is going to look like 10 years from now, given the chaos that again happened over the summer, the conference realignment, the death of the Pac-12, essentially, teams moving in and out, and Notre Dame, meanwhile, just sitting by, waiting for things to pop. What do you think happens from this day forward?
I think Notre Dame stays independent. Look, we have a wonderful thing here at Notre Dame, and the other thing that people are missing, Vic, a lot of these conferences are trying to also lower the amount of in-conference regularly scheduled games, and that makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, let's just take the Big Ten, for example. We know that Ohio State and Michigan are probably going to be 4-1 after 5 games, right? Now, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, there's going to be some version of 2-3 and 3-2. But the elites separate themselves. And so what schools want to do is lower, I believe it's at 9 now for the minimum amount of conference games you have to have. You lower that to even 7, but you get to 5, and now teams can play all over the country. Your other sports can drive to their separate, competitions and really reduce the amount of cost on the athletic department. So I think eventually we're going to get to a reduced number of in-conference required games for whatever conference teams join.
Interesting. Yeah, that would obviously solve a lot of problems because the conference alignment stuff is all based on how many conference games you play and conference championships. But one thing I've been told, why is Notre Dame, why do they stay independent? Why are they so stubborn? And I said, well, because they can. And if you think it's that easy, try it. Go independent. See how you can schedule. See what kind of television network package you can attain. Not many people, if any, not many teams can do it. Notre Dame can. So why wouldn't it?
Well, and I also believe, Vic, that that's indicative of what you become when you go to Notre Dame. You become independent from what everybody else did at college. I mean, going to University of Notre Dame was one of the best decisions I made. I know it's one of the best decisions you made, and you've told me that. and many of us alumni feel that way. So there's a special honor, I think, that comes with being an independent. And then the other thing people miss is if Notre Dame joins a conference, they're going to have to split the revenue with other teams, many teams that aren't deserving. And that's something that is going to come out next in this conference realignment. I'm telling you, there's going to be a tiered system based on wins as to who gets paid what, because a lot of these teams, and this is a reason why those conferences have broken, a lot of these teams have just tried to skate by and do the bare minimum just so they could get a check for TV money.
Yeah, we're getting to the heart of the matter now. If Notre Dame were to join a conference and split that conference money, that would just mean less money for Ryan Harris. And now we know why you're so sensitive to this subject.
So sensitive. Don't take our money.
Well, hey, I can't wait. I can't wait. We got a roller coaster season as usual. Always the unexpected. It happens with Notre Dame football. But overall record, where do you think they go this year? What is a clean schedule? Everybody wants perfection, but what would make you happy, Ryan Harris?
I would be happy with a one-loss record going into the college football playoffs. I think it's tremendously hard in this day and age to go undefeated. Hey, look, do I hope they go undefeated and do I believe they can? Absolutely. I mean, that was a close game against Ohio State. The confidence you get from that, and a close game against USC until the turnover in the third quarter, I mean, those are two close games against top teams. This is the year to get over the hump, to finish those big games. And Vic, it started earlier this year with that big bowl win by double digits against South Carolina.
All right, my brothers and I are looking at the schedule and saying, which game will we attend this year? We always pick a game, and it's easy to point to Ohio State because it's late September. It's beautiful in South Bend. But is there a game on your schedule that you would encourage people? Take a closer look at that one.
Come to Tennessee State. How many times you get to go to the University of Notre Dame and attend a football game where they're doing something for the first time? It's very similar to Georgia. I think this is just so indicative of how we've grown together as a society, how Notre Dame continues to lead. I'm sure Father Hesburgh's going to enjoy watching that game, and everybody who comes is going to be a part of a first-time experience at Notre Dame.
All right, you're going to be calling the game this weekend from here, correct? You're not going to be in Ireland per se.
Yep, I have the Broncos game that night, and Paul has the Titans game the night before. So the broadcast world kept us from going to Ireland.
I just thought you weren't allowed in Ireland, something you did
I might not be. If they know what's good for them, I shouldn't be.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Ryan. I can't wait for the entire season. We'll do this on a weekly basis whenever time allows. But I appreciate your insight as always. Have a great call on Saturday. We all cannot wait to watch Notre Dame football. This is for all the Given Society members and the annual donors. You make this show happen. It's our first episode of Here Come the Irish. And before we get to the end of the program, how about the trumpets under the dome?